If you think that you need a shop full of fancy tools and equipment to make sculptures that actually sell, I've got some news for you. Welcome to WELD. I'm your host, Bo Wigington, and this week I'm out at Jackson Williams' shop up in Asheville to see how he's building legit sculptures with handmade tools, skill, creativity, and getting after it. We dive in right now. So Jackson, for people that are not familiar with you and your work, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So grew up in Massachusetts working with my father, sculptor Chris Williams. He has beautiful work and, just working alongside him, learning new things every day. I put in a lot of time with him and eventually wanted to start something of my own and my own style. And so about 2 years ago is when I started working in steel rods. And it was actually a commission that my father passed down to me, which I'm really thankful for.
That's nice.
Yeah. Because he works mostly in bronze. They were showing us pictures of parallel rods and stuff. And, I was just thinking, how can we improve upon that style? And I thought that giving all of the rods motion would really be cool and capture kind of the muscle structure and everything. So made those pieces. It was my first commissions. It was a elk, a bison, and a moose. So quite a big start.
A lot of work, man.
Yeah. And I had a really great time working on those. And then, once those came to an end, I realized pretty quickly that, I was out of work. And what am I going to do with myself? So I just decided to keep creating. And, after that, I did a deer and then a moose shortly after that, posting my process online and got some traction, and it's taken off.
I love being on the Dusty Jobs podcast every year at Fabtech. So it was cool being over there, and they were like, you got to meet Jackson. He did this big bear over there. I was like, that was a super impressive bear. And then I saw you and you're a young dude, it was a very impressive sculpture, and just your work in general. It's got a very just kind of like polished look to it.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
I mean, you're good at what you do. So
thanks.
What was that? Like, how did you get connected with them?
Imperial Systems is the company that got me to Fabtech. They found me on Instagram, and they just reached out and really didn't think much of it because it was the first time that someone substantial had reached out to me and proposed something like this. I just didn't know what to say, but yeah, I said yes immediately, and they were offering to just fly me to Fabtech to display one of my pieces in front of all these people. And I thought that was such an amazing opportunity. So, at the time I didn't have much of a following, but, being at the show just gave me so many, connections, and I was able to meet great people, and that kind of jump-started my career.
So you would advise people that are just getting into it to go to Fabtech?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and just shake people's hands, get to know the industry better. And, but yeah, it's all about the people and the connections, I've found. And it was just a great place where everyone was united and all like-minded.
It's kind of like a yearly meetup, like a welder summer camp,
Yeah.
But you're just walking around looking at machines and stuff.
A lot of kids, yeah.
Lots of, and all
myself.
The students coming through. Well, yeah, I know. It is pretty impressive, the work that you're putting out, and solo, because you do this all by yourself, right?
Yes, just me and in my small space here. This is my section of the studio, and this is my project that I'm working on right now. It's an 8-foot tall Bigfoot. All 1/2-inch rods. I get them in 20-foot lengths, cut them in half. So there's a bunch of 10-foot lengths here. And it's all the same stuff, just 1/2-inch round bar. And I have a shear on the ground that I use for chopping it up. And I'll basically cut out a variety of different lengths of this rod. And then I'll use this jig on my vise and these pretty handy bending tools that I have made for this job. And I'll use this tool as, a pipe for leverage. So I'll slip the rod in here, kind of use my hand sometimes, and just give these rods a nice bend. And the fork can be used for the same thing. But primarily I use the forks on the piece itself. But that's pretty much it. Just one piece at a time, working from the ground up. And yeah.
Not even using a torch to bend.
No, it's surprisingly not too difficult. Sometimes I'll get into, torch work with making like nostrils or eyes, those tighter bends, or the toes. But no, for the most part, it's just hand bending, and it's not too bad. It's tiring, but it's not terrible.
And did you make, is this something you made as well?
Yeah, so I actually just made this little stand for this, I don't know what you'd call this, just a pin board. I can adjust, move these pins around however I'd like to get different angles. And but primarily I just keep it in this configuration and can bend, rods out into the shop space here or over here, slip it down into this rod or this hole here, get a tighter bend. So yeah, and with just that tool, I'm able to bend pretty much everything on the sculpture. I have these images here that I've printed out. So I found a great front profile and a side profile. And between the two of those, I was able to first enlarge these images onto the ground, scale it up, and then build my framework right off of the outlines of these pictures. Each one of these boxes is 1 square foot on the ground. So first, this is a 8 foot tall piece by 4 foot wide, roughly, is this grid section. So I'll go ahead and draw a big 4 by 8 foot large rectangle on the floor. And then I'll use all of these squares to then go ahead and draw, kind of just eyeball and roughly, following what I see in those squares. Draw it out on the floor, build my framework following the outline. And then I stood that up and started skinning it with the 1/2-inch rods. I got a rod in one hand, the welder in the other, and I'm just going back and forth from the bender to the piece and just kind of checking and seeing what I like. And when I'm happy with something, I'll just go ahead and tack it on and just work from the bottom up.
So these tools that you made, break it down. How did you make it, and what made you put the specific size on there for there?
Yeah, so I actually got 4 of them here. Actually, I got 6 of them. So I got these bigger ones here and then some smaller ones. So these 2 here are for, this one in particular is for bending that framing rod that I showed you.
Mm-hmm.
And this bigger one here, these jaws fit on these 1/2-inch bars, and this is for hot work. So when I'm working on smaller things like these toes, I could fit these into tighter spots and, try to bend that hot. So I'll heat up the rod with a torch and it'd be red hot, and then I'll sneak this in and try to make my bends. So this is really handy when I'm doing small detailed work.
What are they made out of?
Just steel. Welded a ball on the end for kind of a handle, and just a rod and some forks on the ends. And these are made out of steel as well, just a pipe, and welded some forks on the end here. But that's it. And a little bit more reinforcement on this edge so that that edge doesn't just roll over and crack. I get all this from my dad. My dad, Chris, he designed these tools. They were used in his shop all the time. And I just figured it was a great tool to have. And I ended up using them quite a lot when I was working with him in the past. And now I use them every day.
Your plasma cutter over here, what are you using that mainly for? You're not cutting the rods with that, are you?
Yeah, so I don't use the plasma cutter a whole lot. you'll see that I made the base plates on, it was cut out to be like a footprint on the Sasquatch here. And really all of the sculptures that I make, wherever they contact the ground, I like to cut out, a thick piece of maybe 1/4-inch plate and have that as kind of what sets the sculpture down, usually on a stone or concrete pad, and have some nuts that I've welded in. I have some duct tape over it now, but those nuts, I am able to thread some threaded rod up underneath the piece when it's being hung and ready to get dropped down onto a job site. And yeah, just thread those on, lower it into some holes. But yeah, I don't use the plasma cutter a whole lot. I also use it if I can't sneak the whiz wheel into a tight spot, and I'll just kind of sneak the torch and cut a rod, but not too much. A lot of the work is done with this Rustler MIG welder. And I'm just using the welder to go ahead and make tacks. So I'll tack the piece. When I'm happy with kind of the position of a rod, I'll go ahead and tack it on. See, I tacked some spots there. And then when I'm happy with the whole portion of the sculpture, I'll go ahead and weld it up for good. So those are not the best welds, but they're going to do all right.
It'll hold. It'll hold, man. One of the big things about why I wanted to talk to you is showing people out there you don't need to have $100,000 worth of tools and equipment to make sculptures that could sell for a pretty penny. Yeah. And in the past, like we've gone to the Forge out in Nashville. It's a maker space. So it's like kind of similar to this, but they have woodworking and painting, textile, like all different types of stuff all in one place. But this is just kind of like a metal artist co-op type of vibe.
I was considering getting my own space and starting fresh, getting my own tools and everything, really. And as soon as I saw this place, it was a no-brainer. It was half the price with all of the equipment, and and we all grab lunch together. So it's just all around just a better option for a beginner. If you have access to a shared space, it's awesome.
Well, and then you can actually pick people's brains too.
Yeah, bounce ideas off each other for sure.
That is cool, man. I'm jealous because this is quite the setup you got going on in this shop. So I think it's kind of a paradise to a metal worker to have just access to the amount of stuff you have in here.
It
but
is.
You don't really touch half the stuff in the shop. Maybe not even a quarter of the stuff in the shop.
I barely leave my corner. But when it comes to the building the sculptures, for me, it's just get some material, a few different kinds of stock, and just start playing around. Because if you don't have material kicking around, you won't have ideas.
Yeah.
So just having a few different things on your table will, this is the most oddly shaped piece I got. But for some reason, it just lingers on the table here because it has a couple different bends to it. And I always like using it as kind of a guide to kind of, what the next rod should look like. So I just keep checking this piece on the sculpture. But if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't know what that next piece looked like. So it just goes to show that, having an assortment of parts on your bench is really helpful to visualize.
What is your big goal? Like, what are some of the goals you have?
Just keep pushing, keep making, every piece that I've done is, in my opinion, better than the previous piece. So just keep perfecting my craft and keep putting stuff out there and hope that I can just keep growing.
If you're staying in the same place, you're doing something wrong.
Yep.
What is your advice to, say there's somebody in a welding school right now where they're like, you know what, I don't really want to be a pipe welder, but I am interested in the art side, but I don't even know where to start.
I was lucky to grow up in a shop where my father was making metal art all the time. And, anything was possible in his shop, and just having access to that space and the equipment, just, anything was possible. So I would encourage anyone out there trying to get going to find a space. If you can borrow a friend's garage or welder, or save up and get your own welder, and just start small. You really don't need a lot, but just start playing around, and a lot of people, including myself, when I started, I get caught up in what other people are doing, and trying to figure out why something else worked, or how can I make something like that. But the best thing that I came up with is what I'm, doing now. And it's just something I came up with on my own naturally, in just by playing around and just starting. I was able to really fine tune what I was trying to show, even in just one sculpture, and then the next one was better, and the next one was better. So just encourage people to just play. It's weird how it happens, but it just happens. If something doesn't look right. And there's another thing my dad taught me that's the most valuable thing that he could have ever taught me, is just, if it isn't right, it's not right. And you have to change it, So if something's not right, you got to put in that extra time and just work on it and try to make it right.
If people out there, they have one, they're inspired by your work and they want to ask you questions, or people want you to build them something, how do people find you?
People can find me on my socials. I'm on Instagram, William Sculpture, Facebook, and TikTok as well. And people just drop me an email, and that's how we get started.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Weld, and a huge thank you to Jackson for having me out and showing me I don't need to take out a second mortgage to buy tools. Jackson, I think you got a very bright future, and I can't wait to watch along and grow right with you. If this episode lit a fire under you to start building sculptures, do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and if you're over on the audio side, leave us a review. It really does help us get into the ears of other welders out there to hopefully inspire them to get into the field. I'm Bo Wigington, and until next time, I'll see you out there.